What are you even talking about? You, housekeeper. My mother-in-law interrupted sharply. A housekeeper? I'm losing it. Yes, you're like a housekeeper in this house, she went on. You don't bring in much money, so it's only right for you to handle the housekeeping. My father-in-law added. We'll manage just fine without you. My mother-in-law continued. I get it, then I'll leave without any hesitation, I responded. I'm Skyler, a 31-year-old stay-at-home mom. My husband, Rowan, and I have been married for 2 years. We had a rushed marriage after I got pregnant, and now we have a 2-year-old daughter. Rowan and I were high school classmates, and we reconnected at a reunion. After dating for 2 years, I found out I was expecting, and we got married. It was a bit later in life but still normal, and the arrival of our child made everything feel even more natural. Life was good. After the wedding, I took maternity leave to focus on our daughter and enjoy every moment with her. Rowan adored her, and when he came home, he was always eager to spend time with her. Our home had a loving vibe, but things changed when we moved in with my in-laws. My parents want us to move in with them, Rowan told me one evening. Why, aren't they still young? I asked, surprised. No, not that. They've been asking me for a while. As the eldest son, it's expected that I live with them, he explained. Well, I wanted us to stay just the 3 of us, Rowan admitted, but now that our daughter's 3, it feels like it's time. Besides, my mom can help with the housework, he added. I do appreciate that, I replied. It's hard working part-time and taking care of everything. I didn't see my in-laws much, but when I did, I could tell they loved our daughter, so I didn't have any major issues with them. I thought living together might be fine, and after some thought, I agreed to move in. But that turned out to be a mistake. For the first month or 2, my in-laws were polite, or at least, that's how it seemed, but their attitude started to change. Skyler, can you make dinner earlier? My mother-in-law asked one day. I'm sorry, but when I pick up our daughter, it's usually around this time, I explained. Well, if you're working part-time, you should be home sooner, she bluntly responded. It's my job, though, I began, but she cut me off. It's half-hearted, and it really bothers me, she said. Why do they have to say all that? I thought. I typically finished work around 4 p.m., then picked up our daughter from daycare, stopped at the store, and prepared dinner, so dinner usually ended up being around 6 p.m. It wasn't too late, and our daughter wasn't even home yet at that time. Plus, my mother-in-law didn't do anything around the house, so why was she complaining? She lounged around all day, probably hadn't even digested lunch yet. It wasn't just my mother-in-law. My father-in-law started acting distant too. You still haven't cleaned the bathroom, he said sharply. Oh, sorry, I was planning to make dinner first, I answered, trying to stay calm. You're so slow, can't you do the chores faster? He snapped. What? I couldn't hold back my frustration. You're useless, he yelled. Little by little, my in-laws became colder and more demanding. I was confused and couldn't ignore it, so I decided to talk to Rowan about it. Why are your parents treating me like this? I asked. Is this just in your head? He responded dismissively. No, it's not. They get angry over the smallest things, I insisted. Well, maybe they just want you to be a better wife. There's nothing wrong with that, Rowan said with a small smile. At that moment, I realized I'd made a mistake by asking him. Later, I realized I'd made an even bigger mistake by marrying him. My feelings for him began to fade. From there, my in-laws grew more and more demanding. Hey, give me a massage, my mother-in-law ordered one evening. I haven't even finished the dishes yet, I tried to explain. Don't talk back, come here now, she snapped. So, I gave her a massage. As a result, the dishes got delayed. Why haven't you washed my cup yet? You're so useless, my father-in-law yelled. I couldn't understand why they had become so cold toward me. I had no choice but to ask my husband to talk to them. Rowan didn't want to bother with it, but eventually, he reluctantly agreed. So, what did they say? I asked, hoping for some answers. Well, they said something about part-time workers not having any rights, Rowan answered nonchalantly. What does that mean? I was shocked. They just don't like that you're working part-time instead of full-time, he explained. But that's what you asked me to do. You told me to work part-time because I can't juggle everything, didn't you tell them that? I demanded. Well, I didn't think my parents had changed their attitude over something like that. So, I didn't have a chance to mention it, he said, looking away. That's impossible, I thought. I really don't understand why I ever married him. Maybe he's already left me behind. Divorce was something I considered almost immediately, but for the sake of my daughter, I stayed. She deserves to have a father. But then, one day, I witnessed something truly disturbing. It was a weekend, and I was out grocery shopping. When I came home, I found my mother-in-law sitting in the living room with my daughter. Without any warning, she said something to my daughter that left me speechless. "Oh, if you were a boy, I'd be so much happier. Why did it have to be a girl? It's such a disappointment." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. How could she say something like that to a 3-year-old? I stepped in immediately. "Mother, please don't talk to my daughter like that." She looked startled and responded, "Oh, I didn't realize you were home. Please take back what you just said," I demanded. "No, why should I apologize for what I meant?" she snapped. "Because what if she's hurt by this?" I tried to explain. "She won't understand what I said." "You're overreacting," she replied dismissively. I was already fed up. "It's not about what she understands. It's about the example you're setting. I won't let you treat my daughter like this," I said, my anger rising. "Harass me," she retorted. "When have I ever harassed you? Are you pretending you don't know? If you don't see it, you've got a very twisted character," I shot back. "What are you talking about?" she asked, confused. "A housekeeper," I said, feeling incredulous. "Yes, that's what you are. You're just the housekeeper here," she sneered. Just then, my father-in-law entered the room, annoyed. "Why is it so noisy in here? I can't even read my paper," he grumbled. My mother-in-law quickly pointed at me. "She's starting a fight with me," she said. "What nerve, coming from someone who only works part-time," he muttered, uninterested. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "Oh, so you two talk about me behind my back, calling me a housekeeper? How lovely," I said bitterly. "Go ahead and screw off. You don't even make enough money to be anything but a part-time housekeeper," my father-in-law said with disdain. "You don't make much, so you're expected to handle the housework," he added angrily, "and you don't get to challenge your mother-in-law. You're worse than a housekeeper. You should just leave," he finished. "You got pregnant just to keep our son's money from escaping. That's what someone like you would do. You're useless, and we won't miss you," my mother-in-law concluded. I stood firm. "Say whatever you want, I've had enough. You all need a wake-up call," I said coldly. Without another word, I packed my bags and decided to leave with my daughter. Just as I was about to walk out, my husband returned from fishing. "Skyler, what's with the big suitcase?" he asked, puzzled. "I've been fired as a housekeeper," I said flatly. "What?" He looked pale. "I'm not coming back. Good luck taking care of everything on your own," I said, walking past him. My mother-in-law sneered as I left. "Well, now my son's income will be wasted," she smirked. My husband's face was drained of color, but since he didn't say anything, I knew I was done. I took my daughter and went straight to my parents' house. The next day, I got a call from my mother-in-law. "Hello?" I answered, annoyed. "Skyler, I'm sorry for the things I said yesterday," she said, suddenly softening her tone. This sudden change, she must have heard it from my husband. "What's going on? What changed?" I asked. "I didn't know. I apologize. Please come back," she begged. "No, you don't need me here, do you?" "I won't be coming back," I told her. "I didn't know you were contributing money to this house," she said, her voice shaking. "I was giving you $1,000 a month from my salary," I explained. "Even though I work part-time, I'm a nurse, so I earn a decent salary. My husband has a full-time job, but his pay is low, and most of it goes to living expenses. That's why I was helping out. Plus, we're saving for our daughter's future," I continued. "My husband is kind, but he has low self-esteem, which makes him quite prideful. When I left your house, he couldn't bring himself to tell you that it was me financially supporting us, and when he failed to stand up for me, that was the end for me," I explained. I told my mother-in-law that there was no way I was coming back, then hung up. I immediately sent a message to my husband, telling him we would be discussing everything through my lawyer from now on. I blocked my in-laws' numbers. I decided to file for divorce, asking for child support and alimony for the years of mistreatment I endured. My ex-husband is now nearly broke, struggling to make the payments. He can't even set aside money for my in-laws, who are now relying on my father-in-law's retirement fund. Their desire for a lavish lifestyle has left them financially ruined, and it seems their retirement years will be difficult to manage, but honestly, that's not my problem anymore. They've earned this. Every time my ex sees our daughter, he begs me for help because he's struggling. One day, I told him, "If you keep asking me for money, I won't let you see her anymore." He stopped asking. Meanwhile, I'm living with my parents and working hard as a single mom. My mother helps take care of my daughter, which means I can work nights again and increase my income. I'm determined to keep working hard, earn more, and watch my precious daughter grow up. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this, please subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video.